2, 1, go.
Hi, turtles. So this is totally an experiment. It may work out well, it may not work, but thank you to James and Paul for your help in this process. Okay, so the mini lesson that I have enlisted James' help for today is on peer conferencing. Now, Ian, all the 8th graders, you guys know full well what peer conferencing is. Skylar and Paul, you guys may have some experience with peer conferencing, you may not. Okay, so what is peer conferencing? Peer conferencing. How would you describe peer conferencing, James?
To conference with thy peer.
Okay, and what are you conferencing about?
For this peer conference, we're going to be peer conferencing with our stories.
Great. So taking a certain piece of work and meeting with a peer and in that process talking about some specific things. So, with that said, I want to show you guys some tools that you will use in your peer conferences. The peer conference clipboard lives on this back wall. The documents that you need actually stay on a clipboard on this back wall at all times. Okay? Now, there are two documents that you can find, two tools that you can find on this clipboard. One is actually peer conferencing sheet that shows you the steps to a successful peer conference. Okay? And the second is actually what we call the peer conference record, which is a place for you to record what the peer conference is about. Okay? So these two documents go hand in hand. Alright, today I'm going to demonstrate with James' help a little bit of some of the basics of a peer conference. Okay? James, what is the first step on this sheet to a successful peer conference?
Complimenting the author.
Okay, and then it says underneath that, what are a few things that you liked about the author's writing? Okay, now I want to make a general note about peer conferencing. The more specific we can be about our feedback, the better. And this is true of all areas of feedback. So the more specific we can be, the better. Okay? So very specific compliments. Now on the peer conference record, there is a box for you to give 3 very specific compliments. Okay? So the second step is to make specific suggestions regarding the authors, and there are some places, some examples given here. But the thing you want to think about is step 2 is really about revision. And to revise means to what, James? Look back at, or literally read again, and vise comes from vision, to see again, right? Is revision big picture or small picture? Big picture, absolutely. So revision is things like, if you want to share these examples.
Right. Word choice, use of details, organization, sentence length, topic, etc.
Okay, so those are big picture. So step 2 is to give specific suggestions for the author around revision, the big picture. Okay? And then not surprisingly, step 3 has to do with the small details, which is called what?
Editing.
Yeah, editing. Okay? So on step 3 on the peer conference record, it actually says mark corrections on the writing piece. And that's where you use proofreading marks. Okay? So those are the 3 steps. I'm going to take another 2 minutes right now to give James some feedback about his recent piece. So, James, and what I'll do is I'll just do one of each of the 3 categories. So starting with compliments to the author. So, James, I noticed that that your story, that your voice comes through in it very clearly, and that I can see elements of your imagination that is really present in your story, and those feel like integral parts of who you are, and the fact that that comes out in your story is a strength.
Well, thank you.
So, compliment. All right. Revision. So again, thinking big picture. One area that I see, James, that could use some attention is I notice that there are only pronouns used, and that we we don't actually get to learn who these characters are by name. Now, in some instances, that may be a very intentional thing for an author to do. Was it intentional in your piece, or was it an oversight?
It was just an oversight.
Okay, so my suggestion to you, my specific suggestion to you, might be to really look at how you can develop those into actual characters, so that the reading of it doesn't become confusing. Does that make sense? Okay. And then finally, for step 3, we're talking about the small details, the editing. I would go through and actually either on James's hard copy or on a Google Doc, and you guys can choose whatever feels most comfortable to you. I would actually go through with him and kind of make editing marks as we go. One thing that stands out right here and now is as you can see, James has one solid chunk of writing. So one editing piece that I would give him at this point is to look at where he can paragraph. Okay, so that is a peer conference. 3 steps. Use your peer conference record to record what you've done. Thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.